ranking every single villain in the MCU from worst to best. That's right, I'm talking all of them. So I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime. Look, the MCU's got a lot of movies, they got a lot of villains, so we gotta get to the bottom of who's on top. Haha, oh yeah, if you disagree, I do not care because it's my list, I can't miss. The worst main villain in the MCU is easily Malekith. Bro's just evil Buddy the Elf. Weak motivation, no depth. Not much better, we got Baron Von Strucker. Do you remember him? No, exactly. From there, we got Loki's daddy Laufey, looking like an avatar who's been out in the sun too long. From there, we got Najma from Miss Marvel. Yeah, this is a real villain. She even got powers, but she got one of the funniest deaths in the MCU history. From there, I got Crow from the Eternals. His motivation makes absolutely no sense. I mean, don't get me wrong, his design is cool. Why did Bill Skarsgård agree to do this? Next up, I got Batroc the Leaper, a relegated side character in the Cap movies, but he's played by George St. Pierre. I gotta give him a goddamn salute. Plus, he would beat my ass if I put him any lower on this list. From there, I got Director Haywood from WandaVision. And low-key, he could have been a hero because he was actually trying to stop Wanda. But then he went a little too AWOL and almost shot some kids. I mean, you know what's bad when I got Todd and Intelligentsia from She-Hulk above you. I get what they were going for, making fun of all the fans who were gonna hate for hating's sake, but this shit was still too goofy for me. Much like Titania from She-Hulk. Although, this was like if Kim Kardashian got superpowers. Next up, we're about to make a run on giant CGI characters. The Dweller in Darkness from Shang-Chi, just a giant kaiju that wants to take over the world or whatever. Amit, the crocodile lady from Moon Knight. Yeah, you probably forgot about this too, a giant kaiju. Listen. Hear me out. Much like Dormammu, I've come to bargain. The Supreme Intelligence from Captain Marvel. Not sure what was going on here, but thanks for playing Nirvana. Then we got all their cronies like Jan Rog, a misogynistic manipulator who got packed up real quick. Look what they did to my boy Mads Mikkelsen as Caecilius. You deserved better! Same goes for Surtur, although he was voiced by Clancy Brown, so he gets some cool points. And he actually enacted Ragnarok. They treated him like a joke. So I will too. I feel like Arishem was probably the best of the bunch of the giant CGI characters who just want their world to live. But I still got side characters like Razor Fist and Death Dealer above them because I think they're cool. From there, I'm going with Whiplash, the literal definition of it should have been me! But the motivation and performance is decent enough for me. Haha, because I want my bullet. Along the same lines, we got Aldrich Killian, or I guess the real Mandarin. Look, all bro wanted was a friend. But when Tony Stark turned him down, he turned his entire life into hating on him and becoming better than him. I gotta respect that, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, next up, I got Dar-Ben. Pretty much bar for bar Ronan the Accuser, except she got a little better motivation. I just think she was written horribly. Next up, I got Gravik from the fake Disney Plus show Secret Invasion. What were they thinking? Like, he could have been so much cooler if they had just made him Nick Fury's son. But instead, we got this fucking poor excuse of a Super Skrull. Someone Men in Black me so I can forget this shit. From there, I got Ronan the Accuser, just your typical bigot who wants to destroy the race he's been warring with this entire time. He's just power hungry, over the top, and goofy. But he has a cool design though. What are you doing? Dance off, bro, me and you. Next up, we got a 4-for-1 package deal, the entire Black Order. Squidward probably being the coolest one, the biggest Thanos meat muncher, and Proxima Midnight got them hands on her. But these two get packed up way too quick for my liking. From there, I got Aisha from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and 3. And low-key, she should be higher, because she's the literal definition of, me personally, I'm not taking that level of disrespect. You make fun of us and steal from us, I'm coming for your neck. From there, I'm going with Justin Hammer from Iron Man 2. Sam Rockwell has charisma pouring out of every hole in his body, that's pause. But he's like all the bad parts of Tony Stark turned up to 11. And those dance moves, come on, man, we need him back in the MCU now. From there, I got Trevor Slattery, aka the fake Mandarin. And at first, I was pissed, but he aged great. Listen, bro just answered a Craigslist ad and said, I'm in. Pay me my money, I will act with whatever. I respect a businessman. From there, I got Crossbones. Cool design, wish we got more of him, but man got a building crush on his face and then decided to blow himself up. He's the reason for the Sokovia Accords, technically. Next up, I got Emil Blonsky, aka Abomination. He's really just an athlete who's past his prime. Celtic Shaq, Wizards Jordan, who decides to start juicing to keep up with the competition. But he was throwing down in Harlem. He was doing the Harlem Shake for real. It's just a shame he's kind of a joke now. From there, I got Ghost, who's not really a villain, but she is a baddie in both ways. I can fix her. She just doesn't want to feel pain. So much pain. Next up, I got Taskmaster. And listen, I know a lot of people would have this lower because this is not Tony Masters. This is a wannabe fucking Terminator, but it does fit really good with the story they told in Black Widow. So I gotta respect that. But whoever's decision it was to massacre my boy, just hand me my coffee, bro. This is like when they sewed Deadpool's mouth shut. From there, I got Darren Cross, aka Yellow Jacket, aka MODOK. He's basically just a reskinned Obadiah Stane. The yells he be letting out having me weak. Yeah. And haha, you got me. I think MODOK is funny. At least I get to die in Avenger. Don't be rushed. Because next up, I got Adam Warlock. And the only reason he's on here is because he's not really a villain. But when he was a villain, he was packing up the Guardians left and right. And he was funny as hell doing it. And he's really a toddler stuck in a grown man's body. He's still getting milk directly from the source. He's just like me for real. All right, let me stop. Next up, I got Icarus because I have never felt such betrayal. I wasn't expecting this twist, I'm gonna be honest. Next up, I got Paradox from Deadpool and Wolverine. I just really like Tom Wamsgam. He has some of the best line deliveries in the entire movie. Fuck! What the fuck is happening? This is what happens when you try too hard to get a promotion. Next up, we got Thaddeus Ross, who is just a bigot towards Hulks. And this is basically what happens when you have a really bad first impression meeting the in-laws. Just wait for him to become Red Hulk, he'll be higher. From there, I got the leader of the Flag Smashers, Carly Morgenthau. Basically, the leader of the Thanos was right movement. I don't understand why people don't like her. I think her motivation makes a lot of sense. Next up, I got Dreykov from Black Widow, the literal Diddy of the MCU. Human trafficking young women and weaponizing them to do your own bidding is insane. I just wish we got a little more of him, and this performance was kind of goofy. Next up, I got John Walker. And again, he would be higher, but he's an anti-hero. But this man used Cap's shield to decapitate some someone on live. This man had literal blood on the flag, desecrating Cap's name. And I'm not a big fan of his redemption arc, but I am excited to see where he goes from here in Thunderbolts. From there, I got the Grandmaster. It's Jeff Goldblum. Next up, I got Agatha. If she wasn't so damn nosy, the Darkhold would have never gotten to the Scarlet Witch's possession. Everything Wanda did is on her hands. Next up, I got Arthur Harrow because it's Ethan Hawke. But I thought his motivation of like minority reporting people was pretty interesting. Killing them before they've even had the chance to do something bad is insane. From there, I got Alexander Pierce, basically a modern day Nazi. He was Joe Biden. I'm gonna fuck cancel. But we got the real Nazi, the head Hydra himself, the Red Skull. He really crashed out and said, man, fuck humans. Super soldiers should be the dominant race on the earth. Menace. And bro, put some sunscreen on your face. You look burnt. Next up, I got Ulysses Claw from Black Panther. It's Andy Serkis. Plus everything he did to Wakanda, stealing their vibranium, killing a bunch of innocent people. I made it right. From there, I got Cassandra Nova, big boss lady with the big long fingers. I thought she was a fucking menace. I wish we got more of her. And it would have been so cool to see her dynamic with Charles, because that really would have fleshed out her character even more. But she killed Johnny, that fucking bitch. Next up, I got Kang and all his variants. Rest in piss, bozo. But he is responsible for killing a bunch of multiverses and timelines and killing the Avengers, supposedly. But Buddy got packed up by ants. And court. Oh! It's just a joke, relax. From there, I got Obadiah Stane, the ultimate hater. Had secret beef with a child and a teenager and an adult. This is the ultimate definition of it should have been me. Oh yeah, Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps. From there, I got the Kingpin, and for one reason only, everything he did in the Netflix series. Because so far, the MCU has shit on him twice. When I was a boy, you embarrassed me in front of Vanessa. Menace. I am not here to hurt you. I'm here to kill you. From there, I got the dad that you wish didn't come back from 7-Eleven. Ego, the living planet. This man decided to put a tumor inside of Peter Quill's mom because he was falling in love with her. I get commitment is tough, but murder it? Next up, I got Gore the God Butcher, played illustriously by Christian Bale. All the best moments in Love and Thunder involved him. A very Joker-esque performance, chilling, menacing, spine-tingling. If I worshipped gods and they turned their back on me, I would be pissed too. His motivation made a lot of sense, but I just wish we actually got God killing in person, not off screen. Next up, I got the Winter Soldier for that theme alone. You want to talk about aura? This man had it in spades. Only reason he's not higher is because he's technically a hero now. Whenever Bucky starts acting like this, just give him a Snickers. From there, we got Hela because she's hella fine. But if my dad built me to be a weapon and then decided to turn his back on me and then lock me up, I'm crashing out too, and she's strong as shit. She broke Mjolnir with her nails. Next up, I got Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio because it's Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. He really ended up winning in the end. I don't care if he was an Iron Man villain. Nowadays, people will believe anything. Oh yeah, fire all of the drones now! From there, we got Vulture. Listen, I get it. If I lost my job because some superheroes who made a mess that I was supposed to clean up that they ended up taking my job because of it, I would have made a big giant Vulture suit too. Plus that twist. But from there, I gotta go with Namor. His motivation is incredible. He just wants to save his people, protect them at all costs. And really, if no one fucked around, they would have never found out. Agua Papi does not play game. He packed up the Queen of Wakanda and said, bury your dead, mourn your losses. You are the queen now. Let's go, motherfucking bars. Speaking of bars, we got there is no God. That's why I stepped in. The High Evolutionary, which is basically just Space Sid from Toy Story. Bro was just obsessed with perfection. But that's the beautiful thing of life. It's not perfect. And to see what he did with Rocket and his friends just made me cry. But next up, I got Ultron. Because I think a lot about meteors. The purity of them all. James Spader was fucking cooking as Ultron. I don't care. This is a top tier casting, a top tier performance. And bro was basically just ChatGPT that came to life, went on Twitter for a couple of hours and said, yeah, all these people gotta go. From there, I got the real Mandarin Wenwu. I love this adaptation. His motivation makes a lot of sense. If I lost the woman I loved, my world, I would probably crash out and go crazy too. And when he realizes what he's done to his immediate family after his wife's loss, man, it hits hard every time. From there, I got Zemo. And it's simple. He won. He beat the Avengers from the inside without having any powers, just intellect and the deep motivation of avenging his family from Sokovia. Plus, the little dance move he does in Falcon and the Winter Soldier is hilarious. Out of respect, I feel like Loki has to be this high, but he's not really a villain anymore. But when he was one of the most compelling, sympathetic villains they've ever put out. He just wants to be loved. I'm so glad he got his throne in the end of Loki season 2. But from there, we got the Scarlet Witch. I'm saying outside of Thanos, I'm pretty sure she has the highest kill count. She murdered so many people in Multiverse of Madness, and she held an entire town captive in WandaVision, and we'll never forget what mouth. But into our top 3, with number 3, we got the Green Goblin. You know? That man just want to watch the world burn. But that's the Green Goblin, just a pure menace. Wants to see if he can make the hero turn on their own morality, to prove that they're all one and the same. This man gave Aunt May a heart attack in Spider-Man 1, and then came back 20 years later to finish the job in No Way Home. Finish it. But in second place, I got Eric Killmonger. Just look at the drip, look at the aura, look at the stare down. You're gonna pack up my dad and abandon me? I'm coming for the throne. And he won it fair and square too. And his motivation made a lot of sense. He just went about it the wrong way. You don't want a mass genocide, but the best villains are the one that you can actually get behind their motivation. And he's really from the Bay Area. But come on, was it ever not gonna be Thanos at one? This man was so delusional, he thought he was doing the right thing by snapping away half of all life when he could have just created twice the resource. Too many mouths, not enough to go around. The hardest choices require the strongest wills. That's why he's number 1. Acknowledge him.